Hello and welcome to our EV meeting. Here you can see who is presenting tonight. It's a fairly long presentation or meeting, so if you don't want to watch the whole thing or listen to it, just pick out what you want to look and listen to.
Welcome again, everybody, to SacEV. I want to again thank Nissan for providing the facilities for us, and it's not. We get a lot of value and a lot of help from Nissan in many ways. This just being one of them. So, again, I really do want to show our appreciation to Owen and the whole staff here at Nissan here and elsewhere. So let's give them a quick hand. Also want to thank, always remind you to thank Eugen, who does all the recording for those people that can't make it on a Wednesday evening. Some people have families to go back to. I feel sorry for the rest of you guys that you're here instead. But Eugen, thank you very much again for doing this. And these will be up on the web, so if you know someone that wants to see this, see what was presented at the meeting, just point them to the information we'll have up on the web. And David will also be able to have that link on that. And another quick item on membership. David, do you want to say?
Not membership, but somebody else first. Pizzas and sodas provided by Sean Southall right down here.
Sean, yes, thank you.
And also, I am wearing Electric Auto Association membership card here. Originally from December 1st, 1992.
You want to come on up here?
I know there are other people have it longer than that, unfortunately. But membership, if you're a senior, see, they're youth, $25, seniors, $29, and regular memberships are $39. Or if you want to get a full color printed current events magazine monthly, it ends up costing $10 more, but you can access that online without a problem. We do benefit from some discounts through Electric Auto Association. We're going to try to send those out to our membership to let you know. A portion of money does come back to help us, and they also cover us with major liability for our events to protect us in the event something happens on our cars. But if you do want to join, you can go to our website. You can click on the link that says for joining EAA and send it. You're supposed to do a report on that. And send a request in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. And by the way, a little clarification on that. It does, at events we show our vehicles, we're actually relying on our own vehicle coverage and liability at events. They cover us for things that don't affect the car directly, you know, if we trip over a booth or such. Yeah. Okay, so, and again, thank you. Appreciate the bringing providing those beverages and such. All right. So just a quick look on the market. We're hanging in there in spite of the dropping prices of gas. Here, the EV sales and these are the registrations for the California rebate, which reflect the sales. These numbers are about 30% below the actual number of sales. So there's running about 4,000 registrations a month. So you're talking 6,000 sales in California alone. Yes.
I just want to mention this is despite rather low inventories.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, like here.
So some of this flattening out is people anticipating the new Volt, the updated version of the Leaf. There's a lot of new vehicles coming out, and new models coming to market. So that's slowing things down. David, a little question.
The flattening out is plug-in hybrids, and hybrids, battery electrics are still increasing. They've slowed some, but they're still increasing.
If you see the green here is the battery electrics, and the blue are the plug-in hybrids. So the battery electrics are dominating.
There could be more. They would be higher. If I had more, there could be more.
So. Again, inventory available, whether the vehicles are available to be purchased, and other items such as these future cars coming out that are causing some hesitation. Now locally, this is what it looks like. Again, the battery vehicles are dominating over the hybrids pretty consistently. This is, again, our region. We're getting about, on the order of about, if you include the ones that aren't registering for the incentives, we're at 300 or so a month on the road in our region every month. So when you think about that, that's really pretty impressive. That starts really adding up. We're at over 7,000 cars in the Sacramento area right now. And I imagine all of you are starting to see them on the roads when you're there. And there's a reason, again, that number is building up. Okay. Wanted to introduce Grace Garcia, who's here to answer some questions and changes that are going on with the incentives themselves that I was just mentioning. And she's part of the Air Resources Board. I want to point out that the incredible job that the Air Resources Board has been able to do as part of AB 32 originally is to keep our emissions. If you look at this, these are the emissions from a 0 point back in what, I don't remember exactly, quite a few years ago. But even though the population is going up, GDP is going up in California, we're holding or even reducing the total emissions, not just per capita, which is going down, but even total emissions there. So anyway, I think they're doing a heck of a job. And Grace, can you want to come up? I'm going to hand this over to you, please. Here,
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Grace Garcia. Oops, stuck in. Almost pulled me away. Thank you. I'll start again. Good afternoon, everyone. Grace Garcia with the Air Resources Board. I am the CVRP staff lead over that program. And so today I'm going to give you guys a quick update on some major changes that are coming to CVRP that were recently adopted by our board last month. So the first major change I'm sure all of you guys have heard is the income cap or income eligibility limits. So essentially these income eligibility limits, I first want to point out that they're not in effect as of yet. They were adopted by our board. However, it's going to be about 4 to 6 months for staff to work with our rebate administrator, the Center for Sustainable Energy, to ramp up, get outreach, get folks aware of what's going on, how it's going to work, make necessary program changes. So ideally or realistically, it probably won't be in effect until January 1 next year. That'll be assuming it's going to take the full 6 months. So as far as the income eligibility limits, it's based on gross annual income, and I've seen several articles out there that are throwing out all kinds of different numbers. So there are 3 numbers, and it's based on your filing status. So the first limit is $250,000 for single or individual filers. The next limit is $340,000 if you file as head of household, and the final limit is $500,000, and that's assuming you file as jointly. And so these numbers were essentially from Proposition 30, which temporarily increased taxes on higher income folks. So we just used a system that was already in place that defined those levels. And so another key item to point out is fuel cell vehicles are being deferred from the income eligibility limit for the first 3 years. So even though the income eligibility kicks in, say January 1 of next year, and you want to buy a fuel cell, the income eligibility limit will not apply for the first 3 years. And the second biggest change is we're having increased rebates for low to moderate income folks. And this is based on, it's essentially for consumers with household incomes either less than or equal to 300% of the federal poverty limit. And so essentially in our funding plan, we had a nice table that kind of showed the breakdown of the 300% poverty limit, and it's based on household size. And the increased amount for those rebates is going to be $1,500 across the board. So if you qualify for battery electrics, you'll get a $3,000 rebate. I'm sorry, for plug-in hybrids will be a $3,000 rebate. Plug-in hybrids will be $4,000, and fuel cells you'll get a $6,500 rebate. And again, like I said, these changes are going to go into effect 4 to 6 months. During that time, CVRP is going to operate business as usual, so there are not any immediate changes. And as far as implementation, of course, you know, we had to adopt these requirements as a part of Senate Bill 1275, and although they required the board to adopt those income eligibility limits by June 30th, we're not going to implement until later on. So that's where that came into play. And as far as, I know I've gotten quite a few questions on, you know, how are we going to verify income? How are we going to enforce this? So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to follow what the Bureau of Automotive Repair does with their Consumer Assistance Program. And during the application process, our rebate administrator is going to take a random sample up front of folks who apply, and they'll be contacted asking for documentation which is to be determined to verify filing status and gross annual income. So not everyone's going to, you know, it's going to be a random sample, probably about less than 1%, because, you know, we get high volume of rebate applications every month. So with that, does anybody have any questions? Yes.
Why the additional benefits for fuel cells when they cause greater greenhouse gas effects than battery electric ones do for the production of the hydrogen and compression of hydrogen?
So you mean why the deferral or
Why
increased
such
rebates?
a much greater benefit when the battery electric vehicles are proven?
Right.
Fuel cells not. Fuel cell durability is questionable.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at 4 years for maximum life before replacing stacks right now, and that's $60,000 to $120,000 in stacks. I don't understand why the state of California is going for such benefits for fuel cells. Sorry, I said fuel cells.
Well, as of right now, that's the most advanced technology that's been verified by the board, and so we've received direction to fund those at the same level that battery electrics were when they were introduced into the market.
So Grace, so you're not involved in the policy setting as much?
That's correct.
She has her marching orders.
Yes, she's saying what she told me to say.
I believe they have a legislative requirement to spend X% on that,
And they're
so
getting more
there's
money
such a
from federal
small,
government.
there's such a small volume that they won't meet their legislative mandate unless they spend more. Doesn't justify it, but
No, it
you know,
doesn't.
I think
No.
that's.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna be one of the people at a dealership pulling my hair, helping these people. So my plea is to make this as easy as possible to understand for people. Again,
Absolutely.
Working with moderate to lower income people, the more you can make it easy. So these are the two things that I'd appreciate. First of all, because I've already heard a lot about, and I've already been working on some of the lower income programs, and clearly state what that 300 or 400%. I've looked it up myself.
Mm-hmm.
What it is about, but clearly state what that is. Don't just say 300 to 400%, because people are going to scratch their heads. The second point.
Before you do the second, you want to repeat this question for you? Because I don't think the mic is picking it up.
Sure. So we got a request for, you know, to keep it as simple as possible, especially with regard to the low to moderate income, increased rebates for low to moderate income folks.
Okay, and so A is communicating clearly what the income brackets are, and B, what we deal with for these people is we either use the last year's income or the last 2 months, or the last 2 months. So if that could be stated clearly also.
Okay.
Because that's what we get. We get this for financing anyhow. So something that's familiar to the dealerships and is something we can work with. That would be the best, I think.
Absolutely. And one of the things we're going to be focusing on, you know, over the next 4 to 6 months with our rebate administrator is how to effectively communicate that. I mean, CSE's done an awesome job of doing their outreach in various different communities. So that's one of the things we're definitely going to be focusing on the next 4 to 6 months.
Do you have a number with the 3 times the federal poverty level? Do you have a number what that translates to annually?
So we do have, unfortunately, I have a table that was provided in our funding plan that kind of lists the breakdown. I know for individuals, that limit is, I believe it's $35,310 for a household of 1. And our table lists, it's 1 through 8, depending on how many, and then the levels go up the more folks you have in your household. And that's probably something we will be providing in our outreach materials, so folks know they can look it up, you know, relatively easy.
And we will advertise it for you too.
Excellent, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions?
At one point, the board has been talking about getting into used vehicle rebates. Any more info about that?
For this fiscal year, I don't have any updates on that. I know there was a potential bill that was going around that was going to require it, but I don't believe the bill actually got anywhere. Yes.
Actually, there actually already is a pilot program
Okay.
for the Central Valley. They are including used vehicles as well as new. Starting with hybrids, not just electric, but hybrid and electric. So actually, that's already been implemented.
Yeah, I know that it's been pitched to the board, and they've considered it the last 2 years, 1 to 2 years.
They can't pick up.
Oh.
They're not picking up.
A program for used EVs or plug-in hybrids.
Any other questions? We're already running behind.
What's the status on the plug-in hybrids and the stickers?
That I do not. The question was, what's the status on the plug-in hybrid stickers? I do not have those numbers on me, but I can double check and definitely get back to you guys on that.
Have they run out at this point?
I do not know. That's administered through the Department of Motor Vehicles, and ARB does have a web page that monitors it, and they provide updates periodically to that page.
Wait, no, it was passed. Governor Brown signed the bill, so there are 15,000 more.
Yes, but where are we right now?
Oh,
Are
well,
those
people
already
have to
taken?
wait. People have to wait.
Because
They
we're
always
waiting.
have.
Yeah.
No, we're good. Yeah, 15,000 more. Yes.
Thank you very much.
All
I
right.
appreciate you coming out here.
Thank you, everyone.
Actually, I'm not going to put this in my pocket because we have another speaker coming up. And Stephen has come all the way from Truckee down to share with us information about what's going on maybe you can share a little bit on the corridor as well.
Sure.
Oh, and can you give me one moment? I forgot to do something earlier. And this is, I forgot to ask do we have any new members here tonight? Several. All right, outstanding. And I know this is going to take a moment, but I'd really like to hear if each of you would say, just stand up quickly and introduce your name. And if you have an electric vehicle, what do you have?
Okay, so I'll start real quick.
All right.
John Bennett, nice to meet everybody. I have a BMW i3. So, good.
All right, and we did promise special awards. We've got a card holder. For if you have a Tesla, we have one of the Tesla sample batteries, a book about the innovation of automotive daring and the race to revive America, about electric vehicles, and
That's okay.
from SMUD about when you can be unplugged. Any of those?
No, it's okay.
All right.
We're good.
Let me come on over here.
Yeah, hi, my name is Peter Mackin, and I have a Tesla Model S.
Great. Do you want one of the, do you have a little sample battery to show people what the Tesla batteries look like? Sure. All right. You want to pull one of those out. Who else? I saw some more. Quite a few. Can you get these, Oregon?
Cindy Michelson, I have a Tesla Model S.
Eric Michelson, Tesla Model S.
Same car.
Who really gets to drive it?
Me.
It's her car.
Mostly me.
All right.
Is there somebody else?
Sean Saffholm, I have a BMW i3. Which is an i8.
Is this thing even working? Oh, for the recording. All right. James Haskins, and I have a Nissan Leaf. Love it. Anybody else?
Any other first-time members? Okay.
You ready?
Stephen, thank you for. No. We got a couple of chairs up here. All right. Again, thank you, Stephen, for taking that break. Yeah.
Which one of these?
I just tapped that.
Okay.
So let me put this on you. You want to put that in your pocket?
All right. Okay. So where am I going here to advance? Maybe this one. There we go.
Oh.
All right, so I'm Stephen Poncet. I'm with Truckee Donner Public Utility District. We are been around for a while, 1927. We got about 14,000 customers. We're largely residential and second homes. Many of you come and visit the area. We are a public water and electric utility, so locally elected board of directors, and we serve the greater Truckee area. Renewables are big in the electric utility industry, so you guys all like to drive around saying zero emissions, but if it's not powered by a renewable resource, then it's not. So we've actually achieved over 50% renewables. We were 92% coal in 2008. We're now zero. We were 8% renewables. We're now over 50%, and we have the third lowest rates in Northern California. So it's a great story there. We're active in AB 32's cap and trade market for that. We're actually pulling $800,000 a year out of that for a $25 million utility. That's 2% of rates. So doing the right thing in this case actually got rewarded. So we've been evaluating the emergence of plug-in electric vehicles in our region. The lack of range and all-wheel drive vehicles are probably the two biggest impediments to us, and guess what? We see tons of Teslas and not much of anything else yet. We do have a fleet vehicle. I could have driven it here, I wouldn't have gotten back, but we're testing them in our fleet. We're working on them. We had a Clipper Creek station, so that one's behind our headquarters, been operating that for almost a decade. We have the fleet, and we are doing 2 installations this summer of public access charging. So I've been asked by the general manager and the board. This is our usage of our Clipper Creek station. It's gone from almost nothing to 4 times almost nothing in a very short period, but that's your hockey puck thing. So we're unique in that Truckee is a major destination. 2/3 of our, 60% of our homes are second homes. They live in the Bay Area in Sacramento. They're driving PEVs. They want to take them up there. We're a major stop on the I-80 corridor. So Public Power has an effort along the corridor to try to get together and collaborate. That's Santa Clara, Palo Alto, City of San Francisco, Alameda, Sacramento, Roseville, Truckee. And because we're munis, I know people in Auburn and I know people on the Summit, we could easily electrify Interstate 80. And we're a gateway to a quarter of the state's landmass. If you're going to Tahoe, you're very likely coming through Truckee. Eastern Sierras, getting to them, you're going to go through Truckee. If you're going north on 89 into Lake Almanor, Susanville, the entire northern state, you go through Truckee. So we're kind of a key dot on the highway. So a couple things that are happening up there. We were successful in partnering with the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency to get a zero emission or PEV readiness planning grant out of the Energy Commission. Thank you, Leslie. That was $200,000, so that's going to allow us to do the planning that will hopefully position us for the infrastructure and for electrifying in a smart way. Tesla's pouring money into Truckee. They have a superstation behind Safeway. They had 6 cars charging there this weekend with them lined up waiting to charge. They have 2 other stations that we're in discussions with. The Gigafactory is a big thing for the region, and Tesla's promoting Truckee and Tahoe as the place for the executives to live. They're having a hard time attracting talent to Reno, but living in Truckee, Tahoe and driving half an hour to Reno, they can get their round about that. And then we're doing 2 installations this summer for public access charging in the region, 2 level 2s in 2 locations, monetized, latest technology. We're really looking at retractable cables because of our snow issue. We can't have cables on the ground. The snow plows will just shred them. So we have some unique situations. We're leveraging joint action, and we're positioning for upcoming Energy Commission grants. And then partnerships are key for us, just like you in these types of groups. We do everything we can to not reinvent the wheel. So SMUD's been a huge partner to us. Bill Boyce and Ralph Trout, God bless them, because we're Public Power, we collaborate, we don't compete, and so they've given me Citrus Heights designs, all their RFPs, equipment specs, you know, distribution designs. LADWP, Burbank, Silicon Valley Power, they're probably the biggest ones in the public power field in terms of public access charging. California Municipal Utilities Association, you guys had Tony Andrioni in here at a last meeting. That's all 50 public powers. We get together every couple months and we sit around a room and we all share everything we do. And that's incredibly important. And then the Energy Commission and other funders, the planning grants, the infrastructure grants, industries and nonprofits. At some point, we're going to have to get together with the IOUs. You know, PG&E's $660 million proposal to the CPUC, they're going to come in a major way. And the public utilities always supported that. I mean, we are jurisdictionally, we don't overlap. And we need each other there to fill in the whole map. So the IOUs getting untied last year by the CPUC was huge, and we worked together. And with that, happy to answer any questions.
Where are the two stations that you're going to be installing located?
One of them's in Pioneer Commerce Center. If you're familiar with Truckee, Full Belly Deli has become the anchor there. It's right off the highway, and there's a trail that walks right to downtown from there, or there's stuff in there. The other one that we haven't inked yet, but we're close to, would be with the town at the depot, which is the Greyhound train station right downtown there, are the first two that we're starting. We're trying to set them up as level 2s, but then with a third spot to, if we get grant money, to put fast chargers, and then a whole new location.
Thank you.
Yeah, to me, that seems the priority for your, and as part of the I-80 corridor plans, is to do fast charging for people who are arriving there, planning to go, for the longer trips, because that's obviously what.
Yeah, and I don't dispute that. So he's saying that fast charging really should be the priority for that region because it's the corridor and so a priority. I'm putting in these level 2 installations on customer rates. I have no way I can afford a fast charger, and it'll be years before I can afford a fast charger, but that's where my friend Leslie and the Energy Commission might come in, because I'm doing everything to position to have everything done but that last third spot in each location. Our rail yard, we're doing a big redevelopment. It was gonna be my second location this summer, except for they had the fortune of pulling $8 million out of the AB 32 Transit-Oriented Development Fund. But that one, now that project's going, in 2 years from now there'll be a whole new theater complex with a parking lot, and then a Whole Foods with a parking lot, and I already have agreements to go into there as well, which will be an extension of the historic downtown into the old rail yard. So that would be the third location we're looking at.
Yeah, my question is completely unrelated to EVs. You said that you went from like 80% coal to 50% renewables. Those were all purchase power, right?
Yes, correct. Do
you own any resources at all or no?
We get some of Stampede Reservoir, but technically no. We're what's considered a transmission-dependent utility. The other part is we're not in the Cal ISO. We're in Nevada's energy. It's a thank God story. Sorry if there's any ISO fans here. But our transition to renewables and doing it so competitively was because we were able to access 9 states to purchase power, and then through joint power agencies, the Utah Municipal Associated Power Systems, we do joint projects and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
You're already getting cap and trade money. Is there any way you can start to monetize the what you remove if you put a fast charger in there? You're in a situation where you are actually removing
carbon
cars off the road,
yeah,
and making that possible. I mean, it may not be part of cap and trade at this point, but I mean that might be something to look at some point, is capturing more of the cap and trade money.
Sure.
Pegged to how much power you're actually delivering.
Yeah, so the question was about cap and trade and how could we leverage fast chargers and EVs as a revenue stream. My goal here, after I get my 3 installations in with my combinations, is to then use that to generate usage data, learn what it takes to O&M these things. What's the back office work, and how, and build a business case for, as a public utility, do we want to enter the public access charging market? And if we can win it, and I'm a Jack Welch guy, if we can't be number 1 or 2, we shouldn't play, period. But if we can, and we feel we have the business case to support that, and it serves our customers and serves the community, then we go into it big. The business case is going to be user fees, but it's also going to be low carbon fuel credits. So there's cap and trade market that we're active in today, but there's a low carbon fuel standard fuel credits market, and I believe the projection is for that to actually be 60% of the overall market pie, and cap and trade that we talk about today is going to be about 40%. So that's a big stream of money for us if we can access it. And right now it's a couple $100 if a car gets registered in a utilities territory, we can get about a couple $100 out of that through that market. That market's projected to go up big time to where if it becomes $1,000, that's money that we can use then to invest in the infrastructure and support them.
Are you thinking ahead when you're putting in the conduit that to make sure it's like 4 times as much possibility?
Yeah, so
That's the major cost.
yeah, the question was, am I engineering ahead for the upgrades to the fast chargers? So a decision, no?
To the level 2 chargers.
Well, right now we're putting the level 2s in, but because we're planning additional spots, the real question is the fast charger. Because, level 2s are a dryer. I can just string them out and add them up. It's not a big problem. Right now in my new installations this summer, I could just put a transformer, serve 220 volt AC, and I'm done. The smarter thing to do would be put a 3-phase 480 volt transformer down, do a step down transformer, wire to the level 2s, and then wait for the level 3, the fast charger. Because that's just, as from an engineering point of view, but that's $10,000 more for me. And so I have to find out if I can get credit for that, or if I just need to put it in, and if I get grant money, then change it out. That's a question I have.
Have you looked at doing a partnership with private enterprise, where it's a partnership with your utility district and private to go in to help fund that extra 10,000 overhead for the L3?
You're talking about like a charge point or an EV Go or
Like Rayleigh's.
Like Rayleigh's?
Yeah.
If I could find that win-win, the question was, are we looking at partners to help make up those funding gaps? I mean, if I have a private partner in a business and they need it and I need it, if it's a new development, that kind of stuff. So our rail yard redevelopment's a whole greenfield development, and they'll design us in as they do it. So the incremental cost there is not so bad. Typically, though, I have a land agreement. It's hard to get there. I have it, and I need the facilities to serve those spots. And then finding somebody to stack benefits on there, if somebody happens to be building next door or that facility needs more power, yes, you could do that. But it's practically hard to do just because it's so hard to cobble together an agreement and get it done without those issues.
Are you looking at some of the businesses in the community that can benefit from, say, the fast chargers, where it becomes a destination for people with an EV that will frequent the business, so they can benefit? Also providing an environmental benefit of being able to charge their cars.
Yeah.
We see that with some realty places. South Lake Tahoe's got one that does it as well.
Yeah. You have home charging, you have workplace charging, you have destination charging that could either be public access or paid for by the business, and then you have public access charging. We're going to serve the load to all of that, right? From an electric utility point of view, my emphasis is on the public access charging component of it. So Cedar House Hotel in Truckee has 3 level 2 chargers. If you have $300 or $450 a night, you can stay there too, and you get free charging, right? That's going to happen organically because that business specifically wants to have it. We'll eventually get to motivating, but right now we got Teslas riding around. So the business case sucks today, but I'm not being asked to pay for these chargers today. I'm being asked to put them in, learn what they do, and then look out 10 years and see whether that makes sense or not. We need bigger range for common people, and we need all-wheel drive vehicles.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. I'm leaving the microphone.
And it looked like I accidentally skipped over a few slides here I wanted to quickly touch on. They were suddenly, I guess they were somehow marked incorrectly to be hidden. So I'm going to show them this way. Just quick updates from the utilities. SMUD, if you're a SMUD member and you're not in their EV program, let me repeat that. If you are a SMUD customer and you're not part of their EV whole house program, you might consider it again. They have 4 Clipper Creek level 2 chargers that they're going to not auction off, but have a drawing for the people that go ahead and sign up for the whole house program. So you might check that out. They've also pointed out that the fast chargers, they're having problems with the readers, the credit card readers. They're finding they have to clean those readers every week. So if you have a problem with that reader, be prepared just to make the phone call and give them the credit card number over the phone. But they're trying to figure out how to deal with that in the long term. Roseville Electric. Whoops. That's not correct. That's PG&E. But basically, Roseville Electric is not going to be doing much on changing of rates over the next year, but possibly a year from now looking at doing something that's more of EV interest. PG&E, and this is, everybody's heard of the PG&E and was presented at the last meeting about their 23,000 chargers. They presented the proposal to the Utilities Commission, and they expect next week to hear when the hearings are going to be set. So this is something that's going to take a while. It's not going to be this year. This is going to be 2016, 2000, I don't know, maybe 20 or so kind of timeline. But that's, at least it's moving forward. And quickly on just government updates. Over in El Dorado Hills, they're converting some of the paddle chargers in the ride and drive lots to J1772s. Tesla's looking at putting some superchargers in Placerville. They've got some sites figured out. There's some issues with old gas storage tanks underground where the issues there. We're continuing, in fact, specifically Lloyd is on the board, is working with the city to really come out with an aggressive plan to support EVs. And as part of that, excuse me, as part of that, the work that was started by Randall there and is continuing to follow through on what's being done at the airport. And the airport is part of this county commission. They have submitted the requests that we put in to them. They agree with them. They've submitted them to their executives, and we're waiting to hear the result on that. So that's a quick, just quick update there. Now I want to go back to our main show.
Hey, Guy?
Yes.
Quick question. Has there been any recent updates on the Tesla superchargers that were being discussed last year for South Lake Tahoe?
Have there been any updates to the Tesla chargers where?
For South Lake Tahoe.
No, I've not heard anything. Has anybody else heard anything about superchargers in South Lake Tahoe?
It's in the plan for next.
Is it in the plan? I know there's certainly destination chargers that are putting there that are nice, but.
Karen Edwards, K-A-R-I-N, is the lead on the regional planning, the Zero Emission Vehicle Planning Grant. So she's going to become a hub of all things EVs in Tahoe, if you want to reach out to her.
Around the lake?
Yeah.
Or
On the California side of the lake in this case, because the Energy Planning Grant obviously only covers the California part. I don't know what they're doing about the rest of the lake.
Okay, now our keynote speaker, Leslie. So here, let me pass you on. Leslie Baroody from working with the California Energy Commission involved very much for quite some time, and you have your own EV as well. So she brings that organization personal experience. A number of people over several years ago used to have concerns that all these decisions were being made, but by people that have no personal experience. That has certainly changed, and we do appreciate that. She's going to give us some updates on what they're doing and what their plans are going forward. So let me pass the mic to you, and don't let me walk away with it.
No, I won't. Let's see here.
Yeah, that'll work great.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right, let me make sure I can get to my projector here. Oops. Let's see, I'll make sure I got it there. Okay. That's right there, okay. Well, good evening, everybody. It's a real privilege to be here, and I know Guy's been trying to get me here for a few months, but I've been so busy deploying charging infrastructure and getting out plans, I haven't had time to come. And I have no excuse because I live right down the freeway in Davis. So I'm also a new member to SacEV, so I'm happy to join you all. And I own a 2013 Nissan Leaf, and I love it, and my husband loves it, and he even got me a license plate that says less leaf. Nobody on the freeway will know what that means, but we know what it means. Anyway, so I am the EV program manager for the California Energy Commission Division of Fuels and Transportation, and I've been doing this about 5-6 years. We administer the Alternative and Renewable Fuel and Vehicle Technology Program, which we call ARFVTP for short. It's a horrible acronym, but it's the great program, and this program is $100 million a year. It was reauthorized last year with AB 8 to extend through 2024. And the purpose is to transform California's transportation market into a diverse collection of alternative fuels and technologies to reduce California's dependence on petroleum and help attain the state's climate change policies. Many of you may be familiar with these policies, but if you're not, they're all here. We want to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, petroleum reduction. In January, the governor had a State of the State speech where he outlined several provisions. One of them is a new target of 50% reduction for cars and trucks of petroleum use by 2030. So that is a very ambitious goal, but they're already working hard to set things in motion for that. Also, the low carbon fuel standard, this calls for a 10% reduction in carbon intensity of transportation fuels in California by 2020. Air quality, Clean Air Act, 8% reduction in NOx from current levels by 2023. And the zero emission vehicle mandate, which is under the California Executive Order B16/2012. And that is to accommodate 1 million electric vehicles on California roadways by 2020 and 1.5 million by 2025. And I think we're on our way to achieving that. So just the ZEV action plan by 2015 this year, one of the goals is to have the state's major metropolitan areas able to accommodate the ZEVs through infrastructure plans and streamlined permitting. So some of what we do, we help provide funding to get some of those plans in place. And I'll talk a little bit more about those in a minute. By 2020, as I mentioned, we should have enough infrastructure in place to support up to 1 million vehicles. And by 2025, over 1.5 million zero-emission vehicles will be on California's roadways. So our ARFVTP funding summary, we cover a variety of fuels and vehicle technologies, but this is what we have invested in to date between 2009 and 2015. And as you can see, we've invested about a third of our funding into electric drive. So $193 million for 150 awards. I think Guy already went over some of the sales figures, but the June 2015 PV sales shows a steady increase, and I think things are catching on because even home improvement shows are talking about it. I don't know if you saw the video that you posted, but it's becoming a little more mainstream. ZEVs are located, as you can see by the heat map, in major metropolitan areas. You see the Bay Area, near Santa Barbara all the way down to LA and the Sacramento region. Interesting thing about this map is on the right side, there's a change in the density. So if you look at maybe up Mendocino and in some of the counties in the San Joaquin Valley, we've seen a really big increase in the number of ZEVs. So that's kind of exciting news. Here are your rebates for Sacramento County. I guess the uptake of rebates is pretty good, 76% in the county. So predominantly battery electric vehicles. There's your heat map for the CVRP rebates by zip code. And I'm going to run through these. Okay. Yeah, take a look. Self-explanatory.
David was trying to see where he lives and whether you count
Well,
on
it
that
actually
one.
is a little bit darker, that's nice.
Your area is, okay.
So I really darker, is that like Folsom?
What do you think? Is that Folsom? I think so.
El Dorado.
El Dorado? Yeah, El Dorado.
Valley, Eldorado Hills, Folsom, yeah.
Mostly Teslas over there? Hard to
I
say.
don't know, Guy, what's mostly up there? Granite Bay?
So this is my Field of Dreams slide. So if you build it, they will come. So California's been deploying charging infrastructure since, well, for quite a while, but since 2010, we've gradually increased our deployment. We partnered with the federal government, the ERA grants, federal stimulus grants initially, with the EV project. I don't know if you're familiar with that, and ChargePoint. So those chargers went in maybe not in the most optimal way, but we're getting smarter every year, and we're doing our own solicitations, and we're getting more strategic in the way we deploy infrastructure. So right now there's about 7,200 public charging outlets according to the alternative database center with the DOE center, and 253 DC fast chargers. And Guy already mentioned we were to 142,000 PEVs, and I believe 24 models. Am I correct on that? I think that was what I counted. And then we also have 11 regional PEV plans. Here again is another summary. We've invested $38.7 million for over 7,600 chargers. And the breakdown is there. You can see residential is predominant due to some of our early grants. We've also invested a little bit in multi-unit dwellings. We're trying to see a little more uptake with multi-unit dwellings. That's really a tough nut to crack, but we're developing strategies to address that. Commercial, workplace, fleets, and DC fast chargers. We've invested nearly $5 million for 19 regional PEV readiness planning grants, although we have actually 11 regions, but we have a variety of planning grants. And we've also contributed to the CVRP, $49 million for over 21,000 vouchers.
And CVRP, that acronym stands for?
Yes, that's what Gracie was talking about, the Clean Vehicle Rebate. Yes. So this is the charging infrastructure investments that we've made in the Sacramento region. As you can see, we've put in, well, about 513 chargers, 3 DC fast chargers, 500 level 2s, and 10 level 1s.
Where are the level 1s?
You know, I don't know off the top of my head, but I could find out for you. If you send me an email, I'll let you know.
Where are the 3 fast chargers?
You know, I'm trying to think if those are the new ones going in, the Whole Foods. There's a couple.
Yeah, the SMUD headquarters.
I don't think we.
SMUD got one of those grants.
Yeah, I don't. That was not our money. So the 3. Gosh, I thought there were some in at the Whole Foods.
There's a new one going in
And
at
then-
Whole Foods in Roseville.
Yeah, could be the Whole Foods. And that's our state garage. So we help fund the chargers in the state garage. And there's one down in San Diego. So our last charging infrastructure solicitation was for $13.67 million. It was really oversubscribed. There was a lot of interest in it. And this was for workplace corridors, destinations, multi-unit dwellings. And they were about $500,000 per application. And public agencies could come in for this. And so they did. And they were required to coordinate with the PEV planning group. So they had to touch bases with the infrastructure plan for the region before they made their plan for where they were going to put all these chargers. So we're really happy about that, and I think it's working out well. So we funded about 91 DC fast chargers around the state, total of 937 charge points. And those are all going in. This one in Fresno just went in recently. So it's very exciting. So this, I'm sorry, somebody, you okay with that slide? All right. So fast charging stations in California, we've made great progress in the last few years. I remember only 3 years ago we were, you know, thinking about doing a fast charger solicitation, and it was kind of new technology, and we were thinking, well, a demonstration, and now all of a sudden they're just proliferating. As you can see, NRG EVgo is making progress. I think they have, I think it's about 116 DC fast chargers in now or in progress. Tesla has, I believe, 25. Am I correct on that? 25 stations? Tesla people, do you know? I think it's 25. And then the Energy Commission has 119 planned and funded. NIDO, the Japanese group, is doing a research project feasibility study to do 50 fast chargers in Northern California. So that is in the feasibility stage. They have an agreement with the governor's office to carry that out in the next few years. So that is underway.
Will those include the Sacramento area?
I'm sorry?
Will those include the Sacramento area, or was that part of the settlement
I
that
think,
excluded Sacramento?
no, I think the NIDO project, the Japanese project.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Japanese project, they haven't really come out with a definitive plan yet, but I think they're anticipating the Bay Area to Tahoe and the Bay Area to Monterey. So kind of the tourist destinations where they would expect to see a lot of Nissan Leafs, you know, using it. And their purpose is to collect data for their own purposes, really. But they're willing to share the data with us.
Are they required to have dual heads?
That's a good question. I actually requested that they would require dual heads. Yeah.
Did you also request they do feasibility studies for the units that they purchase for fast chargers and the regional climates where they're installed?
Yes.
We're having quite a few that
There.
are overheating.
Yes. No, I think we're all aware of that at this point, and I'm sure Nissan and you know, those that are putting out the CHAdeMO DC fast charging, they're aware of it. So yeah, that's good news.
The drivers aren't happy.
Yes, I agree. So here's a summary of our, how much time do we have? Am I going over?
You're fine.
I'll hurry up. So these are our various planning grant solicitations. As I mentioned, we started out with 10 for $2 million. We actually partnered with the Department of Energy, and they actually did 6 regional grants, and we joined with them and we complemented what they were doing. Since then, we've had another 8 alternative fuel readiness plans. Just this year, we came out with ZEV implementation awards, and these actually implement the plans that have been put in place. So it gives money to the local agencies to start putting in EV signage and help with coordination and outreach and things like that. So we're very excited about those, and those have just been funded recently. Here's kind of a summary of the regional readiness, some of the things that are being done. As I mentioned, streamlining of the permitting and inspection process, infrastructure plans, updating building codes, zoning parking, training, education, and outreach, and then addressing multi-unit dwellings, workplace, corridor, and fleet charging. So a lot of activity going on. And those are the implementation activities that cover all those things that I just mentioned. So I mentioned that, well, maybe I didn't mention, but the title of this thing was about the integrated policy report. Well, we did put out a transportation integrated policy report this year, and we identified some things that we want to focus on in this realm of EVs. So we want to continue to support the regional PEV readiness plans, which we're doing. We want to develop solicitations to promote low-cost, high-benefit charging infrastructure for consumers. Develop a DC fast charger corridor gaps analysis and strategy, and I'll just let you know that report is finished, but it's being reviewed internally. So I'm hoping to publish that in the next few months, but we'll have to see when it gets approved.
What are the phases it goes through after you publish it?
Well, once it's published, it'll be on our website. So it just has to go through internal.
Phase within or?
There might be. There might be. At this point, we don't really have a separate workshop plan for that. but we always welcome comments. So the next thing is just developing strategies to remove barriers to the multi-unit dwellings and workplace charging deployment, addressing charging congestion in metro areas. Do we have charging congestion yet, you think, in this area? Are we seeing it?
Next to the Capitol.
Oh, downtown, right?
Be congested.
Yeah. Increasing PV, I'm sorry.
Not just Sacramento, but go to Davis, go to Roseville.
Yeah.
It's full.
Yeah, no, it's true. Unless they're broken, right? And then no one's there, right? Increasing PEV driver range confidence and electric miles driven, and then I didn't mention this earlier, but we did a statewide PEV infrastructure assessment a couple years ago with the National Renewable Energy Lab, and we'll be updating that. And I'm not going to go into great depth on that right now because that would take some time. Here's a summary of the investor-owned utility proposals that Guy mentioned. $1.1 billion for about 62,000 charge points between the 3 investor-owned utilities. So these proposals are going to be going through hearings, and it'll be interesting to see what's decided.
Buy your chargers now while you can.
Okay, so to kind of wrap up here, so our upcoming investments in infrastructure and regional readiness, we have an investment plan every year, and the 2015-2016 plan was adopted recently. It calls for $17 million for charging infrastructure and $2 million for regional alternative fuel readiness and planning. We've also given $2 million to the State Treasurer's Office, and they're going to be starting a pilot financing program called the CalCap EV Charging Station Financing Program. And that is going to roll out in the next few months. So they're just starting to put it into place, and it will be there'll be loans available to small businesses and various entities to get EV charging installed, and there'll probably be reasonable rates. The $2 million that we're providing is a loan loss reserve for the banks, so it takes away the risk for the banks so that they're willing to do this program. So currently, including the $17 million, we have $27 million available for EV infrastructure solicitations. That includes some money left over from last year, and we expect 2 or 3 solicitations to come out in the next, I won't say maybe the next year, I'll keep it vague, but in the next few months we'll probably see something coming out. So I think that's it, and I have some resources there. But I'm happy to answer any questions. Yep.
A question from Phil and Becky Haupt, primarily Becky.
I know Becky.
You know her.
Mm-hmm.
On permitting, are you trying to encourage a statewide standardization of permitting for charging?
That's a good question.
Save her sanity.
That's a good question. So far, it's been at the regional level.
Yes, and it changes every single city.
Yes.
Even if they're identical, they require you to use their form with their letterhead.
You know what I'd recommend? If you have any ideas like that, is that you write us and submit it to our docket. With every investment plan, we have a docket. And we really welcome ideas from anybody, so feel free if you have ideas on how our money should be spent or things that need to happen. We also have, the Governor's Office has a Zero Emission Vehicle Action Plan, and they also welcome input on what can be done to promote ZEV adoption. So I think that's something worthwhile to look at. I think that it ranges from $200 a permit to over $600 a permit. Yeah.
If you look,
801.
If you look at the map, and it's, you know, the Bay Area, Silicon Valley, well covered, Southern California, Davis, I mean, are you up to 3 or 4 DC chargers now?
Yeah.
Isn't that textbook environmental justice at this point? I mean, there's such a black hole on the whole 99 corridor that it's essentially non-existent. I mean, is there at this point something you guys are looking at? I mean,
absolutely. So, did I not mention we are coming out with a DC fast charging solicitation, and that will be to finish the West Coast Electric Highway from Oregon to Baja. So I should have mentioned that. Yeah. I really can't say at this point, but it's going to be in the solicitation, and I wish I could tell you what it is, but I can't.
About that. We've been anxiously awaiting.
I know, and I've had a lot of great input from this group, and that's been very helpful. So
the other question I had is, I mean, I'm now 2 months into having finally broken down and joined EVgo, and I'm just amazed at all the public money that went into that. There's no billing, there's no, you use it, you have no idea what you were just charged. You know, you look up on, you know, like the Bay Area Facebook groups. I mean, there's the stories out there of people getting $50 bills for a month, they never did it. Who is reviewing? I mean, who is?
Well, the CPUC is the responsible entity, the responsible agency, because they established the agreement, the settlement agreement with Energy EVgo. So I would, if you have some complaints or issues that you want to address, I would contact
because it's just
the
amazing.
CPUC. Yeah.
You have no, as a user, you have no knowledge of what you just allowed your credit card to be used for.
It doesn't come out with.
No, it doesn't tell you at the machine. Gee, you just got charged, you know, $3.50.
Really?
You just get on your monthly credit card a charge. You know, I had a $25 charge last month.
Interesting.
From EVgo. There's no statement from them that says you charged 5 times and this many kilowatt hours.
Interesting.
Absolutely nothing. I mean, ChargePoint does it, Greenlots does it. I mean,
interesting.
Yeah, everyone else is. Yeah, everyone else is doing it except.
Well, I just got my card, so I'm going to give it a try too.
The one you'll be watch it closely because there's a lot of misbillings that I've heard. But the one, it's just odd that the one company that got all that settlement money doesn't seem to have any, you know, guidance
very interesting.
on how the billing's done to the customer.
Good point.
Yeah. I know, but no one seemed to think about making a customer interface that would actually be.
Good point.
Where do you go in California and buy something that you don't get a bill at the point of sale?
Right.
You'll give it a try. You'll be surprised.
I will. I will.
Other than that, it's great.
Yeah.
I can actually drive to the Bay Area now without worrying about it.
That's great. That's good. Any other questions? Anybody?
Well, you got the free card with your new Nissan Leaf, didn't you?
No, I got it before the free deal. Yeah. I missed out on that one.
I did get, by the way, the card when we replaced our Leaf. I did find out something about the card. I punched a hole in the corner so I could put on a key ring. Don't do that.
Oh no! What happened? Doesn't work.
It turns out that I thought, well, they wouldn't put the chip right there. No, they don't put the chip right there. But there's an antenna that goes around the circle, a wire that goes around the perimeter of the card, and I just cut the antenna in half.
Oh.
So
that's a good tip.
Anyway, Leslie, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Thank you. I'll be back. And
yes.
Where do I get a shirt?
I think we can figure that out.
It's the tattoo you
want. And can someone, you want to pass that back to, I imagine, would you guys like one of the Tesla batteries? And when you get that, by now you're obligated to go somewhere and show it and tell people that there are 7,000 of those in your car. Okay, thank you for everybody for coming. Thank you again. To help me remember the name of the refinance. And, Gold Star, was that?
Gold Star Mortgage.
Gold Star Mortgage. So thank you again for doing that. Thank you to Nissan for hosting us. Thank you to Eugen for videotaping that for others that can't come. So with that, I'm going to close the meeting and say enjoy. There's still some more, I think, food and drink out there. So thank you for coming.